Use code Madam Web for free $50 bet at DraftKings.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back for the first time to our podcast, After School Cinema Club. We are really excited. We are clearly also figuring this out as we go. And I guess we'll jump in with a little bit about what you can look forward to. We are maybe the beginning of the best joke in the world. So, an actor, director, or writer walk into a bar and start talking. And here we are. So, normally we'll have some hot topics like what's new in the world of film and cinema. But today we've got a unique circumstance because the Oscars are right around the corner. So we thought instead of picking and choosing one film to talk about, we're going to talk about a bunch and kind of go over the categories. But before we get into that, we'll introduce ourselves. I think that makes the most sense. I'll start. I am Von Dexter Montague II. I normally go by Vaughn, and I am an actor. I have been in love with the arts of cinema for as long as I can remember, and have been acting professionally for 15 years now. Is that real? Wow. And that's a little bit about me, but I've been talking a long time, so somebody else, please jump in.
Well, I'm Jose. I am the director. Graduated UC Berkeley with a film studies degree. I've been passionate for movies since I can remember. Since my dad took me to go buy a bootleg DVD. I've been enjoying movies and the forum for storytelling and how creative one can really push the medium.
That's it.
That's it. I don't know. I wasn't expecting an about me. I would have written something down. I'm not as good at improv.
Not
Shout
fun.
out to the writer waiting to go last. Clearly mentally writing what he's and curating what he's going to say.
Editing. Like, okay, this is what they hit on. This is what they hit on. Yep. And so, yeah, my name is Dylan Meehan. I'm the writer out of the group. I think for me, movies have been, one of my earliest memories is watching Empire Strikes Back with my dad. Going to the Star Wars prequels, with my whole family, things like that. And then as bled onto more and more and getting away from just like the huge action IP driven stuff into the smaller dramas. So from loving huge action packed movies, your blockbusters that cost 1, 2, 300 million to the smaller kind of indie dramas, stuff that you see from Neon, A24, and other kind of indie studios. I think it's a thing that long live cinema.
Yes, indeed. And as previously mentioned, we are taking a look at these amazing categories for the Oscars in today's episode. And so we're going to go over just some, because there's a lot of categories and a lot of films to see. And we admittedly are still working. We are works in progress. So we've seen most, I'd say, between the three of us, we've seen most of these films. There's still a few that we're going to hit before the day. And I guess we'll jump right in. Dylan, I'm going to let you lead us out on what order we want to go in.
I get you.
I like the element of surprise. We'll call it improv.
Perfect. Alrighty. So I think let's start with one of maybe the bigger ones first. And I actually think kind of the one that I think is maybe the most interesting just based off of where we have seen a little bit of a difference in the different awards is specifically Best Actress in a Leading Role. So nominees are Annette Bening for Nyad, Lily Gladstone for Killers of the Flower Moon, Sandra Hüller for Anatomy of a Fall, Carey Mulligan for Maestro, and then Emma Stone for Poor Things. So I think that Lily Gladstone was the one that I think originally was going to be, the favorite, and I think that's who people were assuming was going to win, especially after when Killers of the Flower Moon came out. However, recently there has been a big push towards Emma Stone for Poor Things. So much so that just when you're looking at the betting favorites, so if I look at specifically Best Actress, it's not a crazy swing, but right now Emma Stone is the favorite. She's minus 250 versus Lily Gladstone, who's plus 175. So that's not like a crazy swing from a betting standpoint. But
Wait. Pause. Could we can bet on the Oscars?
Yeah,
This is news to me as well.
We
in
can
this
bet
moment
on the Oscars. What?
Yes, you can. Yes.
Wait. I could hit like a crazy parlay and make hella money.
You absolutely could, and I'm yes, I'm literally pulling this off of. I'm gonna say I'm not gonna say no free ads because there's probably 7 people that are listening to this, but you can go on DraftKings and
On draft.
yes, DraftKings. Yeah.
Hey,
which
shout
we are
out to
willing to be
DraftKings. We should
sponsored.
sponsor it.
Yeah. So, if you're just trying to, whether you're trying to bet on some English soccer, some Korean basketball, or the the Academy Awards, you make sure to go to DraftKings.com to get your bets in.
Get your fixins.
Yeah.
First one's free. Next one's going to cost y'all DraftKings.
Yeah.
That is wild to see. I can say specifically between those 2 nominees, I've seen both films. I also know that I don't want to get too off the mark here, but I guess this is still related. The way the Oscars works is so interesting because it's people voting, and it's all subjective, and it's the way in which people choose to vote sometimes doesn't always reflect. Like the year Leo won, I don't think that was the film that he was the best in, but there's the idea that okay, he had been nominated at that point how many times, like a dozen or so.
A lot. Yeah.
A lot. A lot. And the idea that okay, now because of your body of work, we're giving you this this win here. I think in a similar way with Angela Bassett for last year for Black Panther 2, this idea that in the film she was incredible, and also with her body of work had not won, so it seemed like she deserved it for a multitude of reasons. Here, between the 2, I'd say I really enjoyed both performances, to be honest, but Lily Gladstone was, I think, I was more invested in that journey. And from a cultural standpoint, this is the only non-white, nominee, and we are still fresh off the heels of Oscars So White. So the way the Academy chooses to vote here, I think, is going to be interesting. My vote will go to Lily Gladstone, though.
I would say that maybe the unpopular opinion here, but I really enjoyed Carey Mulligan and Maestro.
I did too.
I think for as much as all these women kind of have their own roles to shine, this was her movie. Even though it's technically was it Larry or Leo or whatever his name was,
Leonard
Bradley
Bernstein?
Cooper. Yeah, it was Bradley Cooper's movie. I think the main character here was Carey, and how she had to really, no pun intended, carry herself with living with this egomaniac of a brilliant mind, right? I think it's always tough to see the spouses of geniuses, right? Think of Frida Kahlo to think about just we don't get to really see what their experience is going through, and I think Maestro really highlighted that. While I completely hated Bradley Cooper's character, I think she really I don't know, she made that movie worthwhile for me. And the Oscars are white, so we'll see.
Yeah, I realized I didn't even actually give my pick. I think it's going to go to Emma Stone, but that's not who I'm going to pick. I want Lily Gladstone to win, and I think that that is going to be, I guess, a more surprising in a way win, but also I think would be just a more impactful win. Emma Stone's amazing. Emma Stone has also already won, and so I just think for Lily Gladstone to get her first Oscar and kind of what it means in the role and everything else, I think would be a really really cool moment. Alrighty. Next,
Quick
let's.
question off the
Oh,
top of
fire away.
y'all's head. Has so Emma Stone's previous nomination was for The Favorite, is that right?
Favorite,
That was
and I
for La La
believe
Land.
also for La La Land. She
Oh,
was
and also La La
nominated
Land,
for
that's
Yeah.
true.
Favorite, but I believe Olivia Colman was the one who won for the Favorite.
Yes.
But
Okay. I was just trying to find the Yorgo Lanthimos pipeline there,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
but because of La La Land, okay, Damien Chazelle that like breaks the streak, if you will.
Yeah.
Although that was before it. Interesting. Anyway, let's keep going.
Perfect. Next, I guess just to kind of keep it with the best actress, I'll just go into best actress in a supporting role. So we have Emily Blunt for Oppenheimer, Danielle Brooks for The Color Purple, America Ferrera for Barbie, Jodie Foster for Nyad, and then Divine Joy Randolph for The Holdovers. The runaway favorite is Divine Joy Randolph, and my easy pick is Divine Joy Randolph. In a non-pod conversation with Vaughn, I asked what part of Boston Divine Joy Randolph grew up in to Vaughn, for Vaughn only to tell me that she grew up in Pennsylvania, which was absolutely shocking because her accent is that good. So that was overall, the performance is absolutely amazing. The movie's phenomenal. I don't know how many other awards it may win, but I think this is going to be a super easy win for Divine Joy.
Yeah, Davine is a force. I have no shame in saying I know her. Is I won't be so bold as to say like that is my friend, but we are definitely in the same circles. That is a friend of my friend for sure, and for me, I just think this is an example of like just a tough year to like Jose's point from earlier, like the timing of films coming out. Like Dave Vine was incredible. So many performances here were really good. I think the best one was Dave Vine, though.
Yeah.
Unbiased opinion, as unbiased as I can be.
No, I think that's for sure the consensus. There really is no other actress who can top her performance. She is a holdover, right? That's part of the movie, right? It's these people who have to stay stuck at school over the winter break. She is one of those people. It sucks that she is a supporting actress. I think she could be probably a leading actress because she's just so involved in that story. Um, to my point about what definition does the Academy have for these roles? Because I maybe she'd win this because she's in quote unquote a lesser category compared to the best actress roles, but that there is no movie without Davine. You know, she is an essential part to moving that narrative along and feeling those emotions while you're watching this film. It's for sure hers to win. I want to know what the Vegas odds are on that. Shout out DraftKings.
Let's see. I can pull it up for you right now. Oh my! So she is minus 3,500 to win, which is a lot. To put that into perspective,
Wow.
Emily Blunt is the next closest at plus 1,600. America Ferrera at basically Emily Blunt, Danielle Brooks, and America Ferrera at plus 1,600, and then Jodie Foster plus 2,800. I think Emily Blunt's great in Oppenheimer. I don't think that Emily Blunt's character is much of a character, just the way that script is written. So she has the one really good scene with the like interrogation scene, and then other than that is just basically a little bit of a one note character, but that's just based on how the script is. America Ferrera has a really important speech and an amazing speech and moment, but I don't know if the performance I would say is Oscar worthy.
Yeah, and I just feel for the again with the timing of all this because I would love to see Danielle Brooks get her flowers as well. It's just between her and Davine just being two nominees, not necessarily two black women, although that is also true. Um, the what we saw from Miss Sophia compared to what we saw from, and I can't remember Davine's character's name in the holdovers, but just it we had more to play with. I feel like with Davine, and I do feel like I wonder if some of this is strategic. I think about who's that? Adam Conover, is that his name? Who the guy who did like Adam Ruins Everything,
Yeah.
like when he ruined like the Oscars and like talked about the politics and everything behind it. I'm wondering if there was like a strategic play here where like Davine probably should have been nominated as Best Actress, but figured she'd have a better play at supporting, and it paid off. If that was the case.
So do who does the production company, does the manager, like, who chooses who gets entered into what?
I'm
The
guessing it's the
specific
producers.
entity, yeah, I think it's producers as well. I don't know.
Hmm.
It's definitely not like the Academy's not deciding who's what. The
Yeah.
Unless it's
producers
like a
put
Barbie
forth.
situation where like the
With
Academy
Barbie.
stepped in. The Academy stepped in and was like, this is not original. This is an adapted screenplay. And then that's because
Hmm.
Okay.
like Noah Baumbach was like really upset about that, and it's like, well, Barbie's not original. The story itself may be original, but like it's coming based off of IP.
Yeah.
Right.
Transformers was nominated under adaptive screenplay because they're toys. Barbie's a toy.
Transformers got a Best Adapted Screenplay nomination. That's awesome.
I think so. They won the best VFX.
Oh, the VFX are
Which
amazing.
yes,
The VFX the VFX look better now than like most movies do. Like
That's Michael Bay, man.
yeah,
People
and that
people
like
shit
the
on him.
late 2000s like VFX, like same thing with Pirates of the Caribbean. Like that stuff looks better than a lot of stuff that you see even today.
Madam Web.
We don't talk about
all right.
that. Use
Although I'm
code
trying
Madam
to
Web
think.
for free $50 bet at DraftKings.
My goodness. Um yeah. Didn't they say though about Transformers that it took for like the very first film, like I want to say it was like 17 days or it was some long amount of time to render like the Optimus like transformation sequence because like all the gears were literally going places. It wasn't just like hammer space. It was a specific place where a thing had to exist.
I wouldn't be surprised. A lot of these special effects, at least back in the day, used to take ages. Like, I think the same thing was with Caesar and Planet of the Apes, because I think they simulated each hair in like his fur, and like that took forever for him to just exist. So if the Transformers, yeah, to your point, actually had to transform, and there's car parts in the anatomy of Optimus Prime, I'm not surprised that that took forever, especially in like what, '07 or
Right.
whenever. Yeah.
Right on.
Alrighty. We're gonna switch more to a little bit more some of the technical categories. First is going to be cinematography. First is going to be El Condi, which was shot by Edward Lockman. Next is going to be Killers of the Flower Moon, shot by Rodrigo Prieto. Maestro, which was shot by Matthew Libatique. I'm going to hope I pronounced that right. Oppenheimer, shot by Hoyt van Hoytma. And then Poor Things, shot by Robbie Ryan. So I think this is clearly going to be a Oppenheimer win for me. I think Hoyt van Hoytma is quickly becoming one of the best cinematographers in Hollywood. I don't even know if he was nominated for Nope, but I think he should have won for Nope. And then I mean I think this movie is shot unbelievably. And the stuff they had to do with creating, black and white IMAX film strips and things like that. I think this is comfortably going to be a big Oppenheimer win.
This goes back to my definition of cinematography. Like, what does the Academy believe defines cinematography? Because I don't think Oppenheimer shot that well. If you want to give me production design to get like the time accurate technology and dressing, then sure. And creating a black and white IMAX reel specifically for this movie, I don't think that necessarily gives you an award. Like, sure, you advance the technology, but does that mean that you have a great, cinematography? Just because you created a black and white IMAX film, like you can just throw a filter on there to make it look black and white. Well, it's different, obviously, than actually chemically treating something to be this true to form. Like, where is the definition I can read for cinematography, and then can I compare this to something else, right? Because I would give it to Poor Things personally, but Poor Things also has a production design nominee, which would make sense. But again, so does Oppenheimer. So where do I draw my line for one versus the other? And is there something I can, sink my teeth into, right?
Yeah, I think that goes to the subjectivity of it all. Like, I did, before we hopped on, like, and started recording, I did try to look up like Oscar category definitions, and I found something from, a couple of different websites, but nothing from like oscars.com, where like there's a defined, clear definition of best cinematography. Here, these films have been XYZ, and we're looking for people who have excelled in these specific ways. Um, and for that, I think, the with the subjectivity, for me, I always applaud risks, and I would say for that same reason, Poor Things, I think, was like Poor Things and Maestro, especially like the first half of Maestro, they were playing and taking some real risks there. So I would say Poor Things. Wouldn't be surprised if Oppenheimer gets it though.
Well, I'm going to tell the guy with an MFA and the other guy with a film degree from Berkeley some stuff about some cinematic achievements here. But
Go on.
I think that Poor Things. I think the production design of Poor Things is amazing. When I think of just like shots, there aren't necessarily a lot of shots of Poor Things that I can remember. There are a lot of shots from Oppenheimer that I can remember. Um,
Besides the nuke, name three more.
so the black and
Ooh.
white scene when they're at like the circular table, and Robert Downey Jr. and it's like kind of like tilted to the side, and he's like, the president needs to know about it, with like a little bit of a smirk. I can think about that. I also can think about the scene where Cillian Murphy is like, after the bomb has gone off and it's like kind of all shaking and it turns into a horror movie for 45 seconds. I think that is really cool. I can keep going, but I'm just going to use those three.
I don't want to go bar for bar with you here on like Poor Things and like me picking three shots that like stand out, but I do have a few. Um, and again, not a competition, but like when they get to Greece, the sequence when they're dancing, like that, just like that low angle,
Yeah, that's a great shot.
as well as like not quite the opening shot, as well as that first breakfast, that first meal. Again,
Fair.
not a competition at all.
But
Not what we're doing here.
Not
But
yeah,
like I
yeah,
wanted to
yeah.
also offer a few things that like stood out to me.
well, if I
And
look at the
Yorgo
betting
Lanthimos'
odds,
use of fisheye. This
looking at the
betting
betting,
odds like reference is really helpful, actually.
It is very helpful.
so Oppenheimer is the favorite at minus 2,500. Poor Things is at plus 1,000.
It's okay. It's
I'm
tough being
building
right.
my parlay as we converse. I'm gonna put $10 and make like millions.
Just pick Oppenheimer for everything, and I'm sure you'll do pretty well. I'm sure.
No, but for the parlays, don't you have to hit everything to get it
Yeah,
to
You
make the
have to
money?
hit everything. Yeah.
And they will not win everything.
They won't win
Maybe, I don't
everything.
know. I'm just saying things.
I don't think they. Nah, there's some this one we're about to talk about. So like for costume design, nominees: Jacqueline Duran for Barbie, Jacqueline West for Killers of the Flower Moon, John T. Yates and Dave Crossman for Napoleon, Ellen Mironic for Oppenheimer, and then Holly Waddington for Poor Things. I don't think Oppenheimer deserves to be anywhere near this from a winning standpoint. But I actually think this is like kind of a few really interesting potential winners. Napoleon, I thought it looked realistic for a period piece. I wasn't blown away compared to Poor Things, Killers of the Flower Moon, and Barbie. I think all three of those, the costuming is like amazing. I wanna lean more towards Killers of the Flower Moon just because I do think that movie looked incredible, and I don't think it should get a cinematography nod, but I do think potentially production design and costuming should go towards Killers.
I mean, as much as I didn't enjoy Napoleon. I think costuming for that probably outbeat just ever so slightly. I want to really know what the Vegas odds are, but we'll get to that. Just because, to your point, Dylan, everybody was so, I don't know, everything felt so close. Just in Barbie and in their vintage and the research into creating these real life versions of these classic costumes or classic toys and accessories, to the dream houses having the little Easter eggs. Even though that's more of a production design thing, a lot of the costumes kind of play off of that, right? But Napoleon, I'm a sucker for historical um, pieces, right? As much as I just said Oppenheimer shouldn't win best cinematography. Napoleon, I could say the costumes were on point.
Honestly, for me, I'm happy if Barbie wins. I'm happy if Poor Things wins. From a judicial standpoint, which is how I would most likely be voting as like an Academy like member, I would likely give that, like, if I'm between those two, I would likely give costume design to Poor Things and production design to Barbie.
I get you.
Hmm,
When looking at the
that's smart.
DraftKings odds as of Sunday morning, Barbie is a slight favorite, minus 150. Poor Things at plus 100. And then Oppenheimer, Napoleon, Killers of the Flower Moon are like way down from that. Killers of the Flower Moon actually has the worst odds of that, which I'm pretty surprised by. But yeah, so looks like it's gonna be between Barbie or Poor Things. I guess just because then we brought it up as well, let's just kind of then talk about production design. So nominees for production design are Barbie, Killers of the Flower Moon, Napoleon, Oppenheimer, and Poor Things. So basically same exact movies. Um, I'm gonna lean towards Barbie. I think that the with Poor Things, I don't know how much of it was production design, how much of it was CGI. And I felt like in the back half of the movie, you started to tell that a lot more of it was CGI, and I think that some of it didn't necessarily look as good. There are aspects of it where, like that little kind of like steampunky world looks really cool, but all of the dream house aspects, the part where they're like switching from like the Barbie world to the real world, all of that looks so good. And then even like the setups, I can still think of like the offices and how they're set up with like the little cubicles. All of it I thought was really well done. So I'm gonna tip my hat towards Barbie.
It's all Barbie all day for me with this
Yeah, I
life
third I
size
third that.
dream house.
Hmm. Multiple dream houses, right? That cul-de-sac of like three or four houses
Yeah,
actually built in some soundstage in Hollywood or Burbank. Um, I like the cars. I like her electric. Was that a Corvette? And I like the crab walking Hummer that Ken drives. Um, yeah, I for sure Barbie hands down. Biggest odds say.
Vegas odds. Barbie did a little bit more of a favorite than same things. So Barbie's at minus 165. Poor Things at plus 120. and then the other three, Oppenheimer, Killers, and Napoleon, way far out. So could be where Barbie's going to pick up a couple wins, which it definitely deserves.
I've got a side question that we definitely probably should just table for later, but I'm just going to ask it now anyway. How do these bets and these odds get decided? I just picture in my head some guy in the back of a crowded restaurant just being like minus or plus 165. That feels right. I'm like, you got it, boss, and then like running off with the ticket
My
in hand.
my guess is like they're probably looking at who won the Globes and SAG and the DGAs and everything like that, and they probably have some kind of algorithm that is like, because one of those things, like the BAFTAs just happened, and like the BAFTAs are kind of irrelevant from an Oscar standpoint just because they lean so British heavy. um and it's just like, they probably can tell, oh hey, whoever wins this award has a 87% chance of winning at the Oscars, or something like that. I mean, at the end of the day, it's like very few people make money when they gamble. So maybe it's a little bit more different for the Academy, because it's like, it's just this amalgamous group of people that like more and more people are getting added to it every year. And maybe it's a little bit more tricky to nail down, but my guess is that's how they do it.
I'm gonna stick with my headcanon with Vaughn. The families all over the world have the one ticket boy who has to submit, running throughout the city through rain and sleet and snow to submit their ballot, and one bookie with a binder manually counting all of the odds to then upload it to a website.
I would watch that movie, by the way, about the ticket boy who loses the ticket and then has to like deal with the bookie because he's been making side bets and he's been switching the tickets for some year. I'm in. And
All
Dylan,
right.
that
Well,
was your cue to get ready to like start writing.
that's all. Yeah, so I was looking at this. I was like, okay, so do we go into now like the writing awards? Is that where we're now going to be? So I guess we'll look at original screenplay for this, I guess. So the nominees are Anatomy of a Fall, which the screenplay is by Justine Triet and Arthur Harari. Holdovers, written by David Hemmingson. Maestro, written by Bradley Cooper and Josh Singer. May December, which is a screenplay by Sammy Birch, and then Past Lives by Celine Song. For me, I think this would be, I I would maybe like to see Anatomy of Fall, but because of the fact that it's foreign, I don't think it's going to do as well from like an original screenplay standpoint. So I think that it would be between Holdovers and Past Lives. I'm going to lean Holdovers. I'm also biased because that movie is essentially my life up to the age of about 17 or 18 years old. So it has a chokehold on me.
I'm I'm leaning towards Maestro, but the more I think about the why, actually no, I'm gonna stick with Maestro. Granted, I forgot work to do. I'm a work in progress, y'all. So I still need to see three of these films. But between Holdovers and Maestro, which I did see, I feel like again when I think about like the risks, I feel like Maestro actually could have taken more risks. Because I think the ones they did were so smart and they could have gone further. But yeah, I'm going Maestro.
So I'm gonna pose a question then. Because Maestro is based off a real person, does that mean it's an adapted? Shouldn't that mean that it's an adaptive screenplay because it's a biopic, right? This guy existed. His music is in the film. Um, why is it considered original? Are you telling me that the story didn't exist?
How they're choosing to tell the story, I think, is what makes it original. Versus, like, I think adapted screenplay is like, is there a previous body of work somewhere to like lean back on?
Yeah, and I guess if they're not pulling from any of his like biographies or anything like that. Although that is a good question, and that's probably, I mean, this sounds like Barbie PR basically, but if Barbie is going to be considered, adapted, then why wouldn't this be?
Where's the line?
Yeah.
Right. I mean, there are Barbie movies. They're like animated kids directed DVD movies, but they're Barbie movies. But this movie was live action, right? It's different, you know. But just to have a discussion, I'm gonna go Past Lives. I really enjoyed Past Lives. Um, I'm a bit emotional when it comes to love stories and just the journey that goes through past, present, and future. In a sense, it jumps through three different areas in these people's lives, their past lives, if you will. Um,
Hey,
it
you said it.
um, I don't know, just the disjointed, uh, not disjointed, but just the way that you get to experience their relationship through three different times in their life feels somewhat personal, somewhat like relatable to just, I don't know, me personally, if that makes any sense. It was also one of Chris Nolan's favorite movies, and I'm surprised Dylan's not on the Chris Nolan fan boat here, but I'm gonna go for Past Lives.
That's a good point.
Look, I am King Nolanite. However, that does not mean that I am. It's that I don't have all of the same exact feelings as him. So I also haven't. That's one of the few movies I have not seen yet. I get big La La Land vibes from that movie, and I'm just like, I don't. I need to be in like the right mental state. So it's just one of those things that hasn't come across yet. And looking at the I don't even want to say Vegas odds because it's apparently just some. There's now been some canon written about it. Shockingly, Anatomy of the Fall is the favorite. So
Huh.
Anatomy of the Fall at -225, holdovers at +160, and then Past Lives, May, December, and Maestro. After that, I think it's pretty. I mean, like Anatomy of the Fall is like it's a foreign like legal drama, so I think that's kind of cool. That I guess if that were to win, just because it's not really what I would expect. The Oscars has been getting, or not sorry, not the Oscars. The Academy has been getting progressively more European over the past kind of few years, and just like overall, they're just having more foreign voters overall. So maybe that is going to kind of to swing it, but that is not what I was expecting.
I could see it. Um, we love our true crime. Uh, it's becoming a wave in America. Just people are no, just curious of what that, you know, it's like looking into the void. And if we can get these stories that kind of give us a overall rounded experience of some crime event, whether it be fiction or reality, people are going to enjoy it. I feel like I would probably enjoy it, but if it's the favorite to win, I'm not surprised.
Yeah, I think like thinking about past award shows, there has been, to your point, Dylan, a lot of like effort into talking about foreign films, featuring the fact that we've got more foreign representation, highlighting. I think we're even, I forget how long ago, but they've started to do like international film like live as well. So they're getting a lot more buzz, to your point. So it wouldn't surprise me from a judicial standpoint if Anatomy of a Fall does take it.
Yeah, I mean, I believe they now just call it Best International instead of Best Foreign. So it's like even like the small little ways of
Mm.
that of how they're like kind of changing the verbiage on it. And I mean, Anatomy of a Fall not only getting a Best Picture nom, Best Picture having 10 noms, but also getting a Best Director nom. One of the 5 slots. So it is definitely a thing that that is progressively becoming more and more, more of a thing.
The
To finish
Oscars
off
have
the
gone
writing.
woke. They've gone woke.
You watch your mouth.
um, Up next, we're actually going to be talking about the lawsuit between Cara Dune and Disney. No, I'm kidding.
What?
Or not Cara Dune, Gina Carano. Sorry, Cara Dune, I think, is her Star Wars character name. Anyways, the nomination for writing adapted screenplay nominees are American Fiction, written, or I guess adapted by Cord Jefferson, Barbie, Greta Gerwig and Noah Baumbach, Oppenheimer, which is Nolan adapting American Prometheus. Poor Things, which I did not know was an adaptation, and then The Zone of Interest by Jonathan Glazer. Zone of Interest, I think, is a like not really a even remotely faithful adaptation from my understanding. It's just he basically is just like focusing in on one particular aspect of the book. I think from a meta standpoint, American Fiction winning for Best Adapted would be just like super interesting based on like kind of the story of that of how that movie goes. Unfortunately, I don't think it's going to win, but I it's a great movie. Barbie, I think the script is good, but I think this is going to be, for me, this is comfortably Oppenheimer taking a book of that size and how they're able to adapt it. To me, that is going to be comfortably the win.
I hate to agree.
Same.
I hate to
like
agree.
This hurts. This one hurt.
Mm-hmm. It just goes back to the timing of it all. They just like nailed it with this like just production and filming and just landing right in the middle of, or was it the middle? Did it come out in summer?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oppenheimer, yeah.
Yeah, just like lining everything up perfectly to, you know, if they don't win Best Picture, then that's, I don't know, that'll be shocking. If they don't win more than half of the ones that they're nominated for, it'll be shocking.
If this doesn't win Best Picture, we will not be having a podcast.
Now, sir.
I'm putting that out now. When I look at,
yeah, you know what I think about though?
You go.
Sorry, just before we
go.
move on, I was trying to remember the specifics of when it was mentioned because it was so poignant when I saw it happen. I want to say at this point, maybe 7 to 10 years ago, one of the award shows there, where they were talking, they got to the Best Picture nomination and they were talking about, they said, you know, the winner of this category will be joining films like, and they listed a bunch of the films that had won, and then it said, and the folks who don't win will be joining films such as, and listed a bunch of also great films, which I really appreciated that they're highlighting just, you know, the subjectivity of all of this, and that like the award is, yes, something that is incredible. And you know, I know very few people who don't, you know, who are in the industry in any capacity and don't, you know, at least at some point in their career yearn for or want that kind of recognition. But ultimately, you know, it's sometimes it's the luck of the draw and when your film came out and what other things came out, and somebody else winning doesn't make your film any less impactful or powerful. And maybe we are running Barbie PR here, but I think, you know, it's something else to kind of keep in mind for all of the people who are in the Academy listening to this podcast right now. You're all beautiful. It's just one of you's going to get an award for it.
I was curious. I was looking at the odds. So American Fiction is actually the favorite to win for Best Adapted.
Wow.
So
forget everything I said.
So not by a crazy amount. So it looks like American Fiction right now is -125. Oppenheimer is +150. I don't know if that's something that has like changed kind of recently. And just looking through at like what screenplay awards American Fiction has won. It won at the BAFTAs. Like I said, historically the BAFTAs aren't necessarily as important in terms of like, or I shouldn't say important, but aren't a good indicator,
like
I should say.
influential.
Yeah. It won for the, I don't know, DC area film critics awards. Shout out DC. Can't speak to the influence that the DC film critics hold on it.
Huge sway. Sway.
What, it didn't look like it was nominated in the New York Film Critics, which I know people sometimes consider to be a little important. Was nominated at the Globes but did not win, and then it did win the Critics' Choice Awards. So it won Critics' Choice for Best Adapted. So there are, I guess, a little bit of you know, there's some awards that it has, but I was surprised to see it as the favorite.
We shall see. I now have hope that this can happen.
Let's jump into, I guess, two of some of the bigger maybe acting ones before we knock out some of the rest of the technical, and then with the two big. gonna go to actor in a supporting role. So I'm gonna do nominees are Sterling K. Brown, American Fiction, Robert De Niro in Killers of the Flower Moon, Robert Downey Jr. in Oppenheimer, Ryan Gosling in Barbie, and then Mark Ruffalo in Poor Things. Um, I think Sterling K. Brown is unbelievable in American Fiction. Fortunately, I actually just don't think he's in it enough. Like every time that I saw him, and maybe that's actually a credit. I wish that he was in it more. And I really
Hmm.
appreciated without going too much into it. Normally, when you see like addicts in a film, there's one particular way that story is told, and maybe that factors more from a screenplay standpoint. But I appreciated that he wasn't just like constantly overdosing or anything like that. Like it was just like a part of his character. And I think the way that he like carried it was absolutely perfect. I just wish that he was in it more, and maybe that's more of a testament to his performance than a criticism. But for me, I think it's going to be Robert De Niro has good scenes, but I also think at parts of the movie he's just Robert De Niro. And it was really hard for me to kind of separate the two. There are some scenes that stand out, but for me, this is going to be Downey. I love Gosling. I think Gosling kills it. I think Mark Ruffalo is good for large parts of Poor Things, but I think this is Robert Downey Jr.'s award.
Yeah, I this may not be the first time this has happened so far in our recording, but I definitely know that I've seen all of these performances, so I can speak from an informed standpoint. Everybody has like these moments, right? Like from a highlighting standpoint, where you're like, "Oh man, this was your scene. This was the spot." Sterling K. Brown, to your point, Dylan, is just he's so incredible, and I did want so much more of him in the film. I think like he would get my vote personally. I think Robert Downey Jr. is going to get it. I of everybody who I think I would like to see, if not Sterling K. Brown, Ryan Gosling. There's like I think there's a he makes it look easy, and I think we were not giving him as much credit for his performance.
He's unbelievable. Like he's like it really is. It kind of sucks to be like, you know, who was the best in Barbie? It was actually Ryan Gosling. It's really not a great look, but like it.
We've had the women talking
Yes,
conversation.
yes,
So.
yes. It's you know, the king is the best part of Hamilton. No, but it's just it's one of those things of he's unbelievable. He's so like it's not it's that isn't easy to do, and it's just but yeah, I props to it, but yeah, he's not gonna win, but I did love it.
As the work in progress that I am, my money goes on RTJ, um, because he's one of the only other movie I've seen in this category. If I had to put my ticket and send off a boy to go run it to Vegas, I think I'd put my money on RDJ.
This headcanon is becoming more and more solid every time we do a callback to it. So please let's keep this going.
Oh wow. Okay, so looking at the odds here. So Robert Downey Jr. comfortably the favorite, minus 2,000. Next is going to be Gosling at plus 900. Then it's De Niro and
Whoa.
Ruffalo, and then comfortably the with the worst odds, Sterling K. Brown at plus 2,500, which I think is crazy, and I don't think it is a wildly worse performance than, you know, especially Ruffalo or De Niro. Yeah.
But to your point about
Absolutely
who's getting
cracking up
buzz,
at scenes, like at some of his scenes, just like I was absolutely cackling at that character.
because he was fully realized, to your point, and that I think obviously some of that goes to the writing, but in his performance of that character, it's like, okay, I don't. You could undersell it, and especially knowing, okay, I'm just in a smaller like supporting role, but he brought so much life into that character and was real. Like,
The more I think about it, the more I get why it's a favorite to win adapted screenplay, because honestly, every character is so well fleshed out, and you really do feel like you're like a part of that family, and like
mm-hmm.
you totally understand where everyone is in that phase. Yeah, so I don't know, maybe not as crazy that it's going to be a potential winner for adapted screenplay.
Shout out to Leslie Uggams as well, who I don't think is nominated for any of this, but was also great as the mom.
Yes, the mom and the, I don't know if it's, you'd say maid or I don't know how you would describe.
Aide, maybe?
Yeah,
No, because she was no, I think she was. It's not an au pair, but yeah, I think she was just a live-in maid,
yeah.
which feels a little reductive, but I'm sure there's a very impressive title for the work she does.
Yes. Yeah.
I hope so. Anyway.
To finish off the acting, so we're going to talk about actor in a leading role. Nominees are Bradley Cooper for Maestro, Coleman Domingo for Rustin. I believe Rustin's only nomination. Paul Giamatti for The
Yes.
Holdovers, Cillian Murphy for Oppenheimer, and then Jeffrey Wright for American Fiction. Thought Jeffrey Wright was great. Bradley Cooper, I feel for him because he so desperately wants this award. But I think it's between, for me, it's going to be between Paul Giamatti and Cillian Murphy. I don't think that The Holdovers has had as much of a late push as I was expecting. It did feel like kind of there was like going to be this like late push similar that you see like with Poor Things, where like Emma Stone is like, oh wow, she really is going to win. It does kind of feel like Cillian Murphy is keeping that momentum, although Giamatti has picked up a few wins. I'm going to lean on
Yeah.
Cillian Murphy. He is in every single scene of this movie. It is tied for the most nominations ever. I don't think it's going to win, all of those, but I think it's going to win a ton of awards. I would be shocked if he does not win, because it does not make sense for a movie that is nominated for this many things and this person that the screenplay is written from his perspective and he's in damn near, if not every scene, almost every scene, that he should be, that he should win.
Just to stop giving Oppenheimer all this smoke, I'm gonna say Bradley
There it
Cooper in
is.
Maestro. Hey, if the man had to sit through hours of makeup to make himself look like the guy who was playing, um, to then be just a huge dick the entire movie, I mean, you know, you don't do you hate the bad characters because they're bad, or because the actor is doing such a good job to convince you that they're bad? You know, I just didn't like his character, but I think that's just because he sold it as much as much as I didn't like it. Um, he really. I wonder if he actually took conducting lessons, because
He
I
did.
know conduct. Did he really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, I know that
Um,
he practiced that the one particular scene. I know he practiced for like years to get it right. I wasn't sure if he had like taken full on classes as well, but like just like that, whatever the major number is, he was like, he spent
Yeah.
years like practicing that.
I would give it to him just for that. As someone who played music in school, I know that it's tough. And if he really did, if it was a one take, right? It was a winner. The whole like panning in, panning out, and the whole crescendo of it all. I'd give it to him just for that. But if we're not going to give it to like America Ferrera for a speech, then maybe not. Uh, but just to not give Oppenheimer enough, to humble Oppenheimer.
I'm now wondering if I need to rewatch Maestro because I didn't feel
No.
like he was a huge dick.
Well,
Uh,
I think just the way that he treated his wife was pretty bad. He's a huge gaslighter and just like not a good person. In just a lot of his actions and his dialogue. I don't think, maybe that was a writer thing rather than an actor thing, but I
you
don't
know,
like him.
in another episode, right, where we are actually going through, moment by moment for a particular film, I actually do want to circle back and like, I've got questions, but yes, but also he was who he was, and I feel like you'd have to be willfully blind to not see that. Like I think back to, so when we meet him, right? he gets the call that he's going to be a replacement conductor, and he gets out of bed with a whole man.
Mm-hmm.
Then later on, like he meets, um, he meets Carey Mulligan's character. They get married, or I think even it's when they've started dating, and he sees Matt Bomer, and I feel like he fully kissed this man on the mouth. Like there were so many moments where it didn't seem like, and so just, and by the way, I saw Maestro and Rustin on the same day, um, and I saw Rustin first, so to like watch how these queer men are able to express their queerness was fascinating. It was a very jarring shift to go from Rustin, who was literally left out of the movement because of his queerness, and then see Leonard Bernstein just be as gay as he wants to be for so much of this film, was jarring. But I think, I thought it was kind of cool that he wasn't necessarily hiding and wanted to be cool, but like it, it was an interesting dynamic. But yeah, anywho, I also am not going to be giving Oppenheimer a whole lot of airplay right now. I will say Coleman Domingo is an incredible actor. I I get why, like, having seen the film now, I get why Rustin only has this one nomination. I wish it did get more energy and more time, especially, it's Black History Month right now. Um, and that Bayard Rustin could get more of his flowers, because he is just an incredible and just a fascinating person. And Coleman Domingo's portrayal was at times heartbreaking. When I think about like the idea of like the stiff upper lip and like pick yourself up by your bootstraps, and just to watch someone who knows you are so deserving and so articulate to have to swallow a lot of that for the sake of the movement, was heartbreaking. So go see Rustin if you've not seen Rustin.
I just
And
need
by go
Coleman
see
Domingo to
Rustin, I
get
mean,
nominated every year just for the fits, like just for the award show fits alone. Like I need him nominated every year. So just like find something, cast him, just nonstop. I need the Michael Jackson biopic to be amazing, or just at least his performance in the biopic to be amazing, just to get some more of these fits. Yeah.
oh yeah. And
Looking at the
I'll be
betting
interested to
odds,
see,
you go.
as you pull that up, I'll be interested to see the difference in Coleman Domingo's performance, because he's nominated for Rustin, but he also was Mister in Color Purple this year. So we saw like two, and we saw a lot of people in several films. So Davine Joy Randolph is also in Rustin. I was like, what are you doing here? She's just in the one scene playing Mahalia Jackson, but I'd be interested to see Coleman Domingo's nuance with Joe Jackson being like this tough authority figure, compared to Mister, who is also a tough authority figure. There obviously are very clear differences between them, but I'd love to see how he does it different.
Yeah, and I mean, Sandra Hüller, Anatomy of a Fall, and then also is a wife of a Nazi in Zone of Interest, and so it's
Zone of
just like
Interest. Wow.
sometimes it's kind of wild how the movies that you can be in the same award cycle. For the
Issa
betting
Rae,
odds,
Barbie,
yes,
and American Fiction. Sorry, keep going.
no, you're good, you're good, you're good. Cillian Murphy is the favorite at -400. Paul Giamatti not too far behind at +25. Then Bradley Cooper at +1400, and then Coleman Domingo and Jeffrey Wright both at +6500. So
And this is
significantly,
anti-black.
yeah,
This is anti-black. I'll say it right now. It's anti-black.
Well, the Oscars are in March, so
Thanks, Jose.
You watch your mouth, is what you do.
Alrighty. We'll knock out the last two more. I guess one's kind of technical, and then one's going to be music. So makeup and hairstyling. Nominees: Golda, Karen Hartley Thomas, Susie Batterby, and Asher Kelly Blue. Maestro. I'm just going to say the movies instead. I'm not going to name all the people because there's a lot. Maestro, Oppenheimer, Poor Things, and then Society to Snow. Hand up. I've only seen Oppenheimer and Poor Things out of this group. I've never heard of Golda, and I haven't heard of Society of the Snow.
In this moment right now, even though we looked at this list before, I'm seeing the Society of the Snow for the first time.
Yeah,
so
I
that's
totally
where
missed
I
this.
am.
Totally missed this.
And I've only seen 3 of the 5. Wait, Barbie's not here?
Yeah, I was just thinking the same thing. I'm gonna give it to Maestro.
And Women's History Month is in March. So what do you have to say about that?
Oh,
But it's February, so it's fine. It's fine.
The dance y'all do. Wow.
Play both sides, so I'm constantly on top.
Sad.
Yeah, I'm gonna give it to Maestro. Whenever I feel like artists or actors go through hours for hair and makeup, you got to give them some sort of respect, right? Did what Gamora win this when she had to sit through paint? For any?
I don't think a Marvel movie has
any of the
won.
Guardians movies.
Yeah.
Other than I think maybe Black Panther might have won something, but I don't think any of the other Marvel movies have really won an Oscar that I know of.
Huh.
Yeah, I know several have been nominated, and Black Panther won Best Costume Design.
Yeah,
which it very much should have. I think I might have won it twice, actually. I can't remember if it won for the sequel as well. So I'm inclined to go with Maestro. I'm trying to think back to Poor Things. No, I'm sticking with Maestro. But I am curious, did the Grinch ever did they ever win?
The Jerry
Grinch didn't win for makeup and hairstyling.
The Jim Carrey one?
Then
because I know he didn't.
Let me see.
I feel like I remember reading that Jim Carrey had to work with like FBI interrogation operatives or CIA operatives to learn like torture techniques or to learn how to endure torture techniques so he could be okay with being in that green suit for like
it did win best makeup. It did win best makeup in 2000.
The Grinch did?
The Grinch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sick.
The Whale won last year for makeup. So if they had to put a fat suit on, my boy, I'm just bad with names today.
Brendan Fraser.
Brendan Fraser. Thank you. Yeah, I mean, any sort of hands down, like, so you have to sit still for 6 hours. You have to win something, or otherwise it's not worth it.
That's the rule.
Otherwise, it's not worth it for sure.
It does kind of feel like this award is a little like, like prosthetic-y porn. Like it's just like if we're putting you through this much stuff, like you're just gonna win.
Yeah, that's what I just said.
Yeah,
there's a difference between getting like silicone noses and shaping someone's face to look like. I mean, Bradley Cooper looks like fucking Mr. Bernstein. Because I was looking up pictures of him during the movie, and I was like, "Oh wow! Is this a movie, or was this what was this a picture of Bradley on set, or was it actually him?" Yeah.
So weirdly, this is not listed in the sports books.
Hair and makeup.
Yeah, which I mean, it's not like. Yeah, I don't really want to go and jump around and try to find another one. But looking it up, so what Marvel movies have won? Black Panther won for best costume and best original score. Ludwig Göransson won, and he'll win for Oppenheimer again. We didn't talk about it because there's no point, but Oppenheimer will win best score. And then it also won for best costume design in for Wakanda Forever.
Right.
Alrighty, then lastly, before we finish up with the big two, are going to be music original song. So nominees: "The Fire Inside" from Flamin' Hot, "I'm Just Ken" from Barbie, "It Never Went Away" from American Symphony. I'm going to mispronounce this, or "A Song for My People," which is from Killers of the Flower Moon. I'm not going to attempt the the
Safe
native
play.
version. And then "What Was I Made For," the Billie Eilish Barbie song. I think the Billie Eilish song is going to win. I don't want it to win. I want "I'm Just Ken" to win. I like Billie Eilish. I'm a Billie Eilish fan. This just seems like a Billie Eilish song, and not even like a great one. I think "I'm Just Ken" is just a special movie.
I feel the exact opposite way. And like pretty much point for point. I feel like "I'm Just Ken's" gonna win. I hope "What Was I Made For" was gonna win. I think "What Was I Made For" is really, really good. The lyrics, the delivery, the performance. I hear you on like saying it's like it sounds like another Billie Eilish song. There are some technical things happening there that are unique. Um, just like the breathiness and the intention around the breathiness for the delivery. Whereas "I'm Just Ken" it feels like a fever dream to me. And I get it, but I think "What Was I Made For" spoke a little bit louder.
I get you, but it's also like, oh hey, the song sung by like one of the most talented pop stars like out right now, it sounds better than Ryan Gosling singing. Like I don't know. I'm gonna defend my guy.
Which calls into question why Ryan Gosling's song is even in this category. You're absolutely right, Dylan. I agree.
But this also goes back to my point about definition, because does the best original song need to be performed on screen? Because Billie Eilish wasn't in the movie. She sang it, but she wasn't in it. Ken sung and danced through the entirety
and
of
fought.
his and fought valiantly.
Now, y'all, okay. So
there isn't a Christmas version of "What Was I Made For." That's what I'll say.
There's a Christmas version of "I'm Just Ken."
Yeah.
What?
They've released like
they wrote
several
that thing till the
versions.
wheels fell off.
They
Oh my
are
God.
pushing.
Mark Ronson.
Peaches should have been nominated from the Super Mario Bros. Movie.
Yeah, I was surprised it wasn't listed.
Super Mario Bros. Isn't even on the adapted or animated, which I'm
fine with best adapted. I'm fine with it not being nominated for best adapted. It's a very simple story, but I do think it could have gotten in for animated.
Juan has a question.
No, it's fine. I'm good. I'm just in a combative mood in this moment, so I'm just gonna let it all go. I think there's room for Super Mario Brothers. Never mind. I almost said something that was going to get me maybe canceled. So we're going to skip past it. Just as a Barbie PR podcast, I was going to say, I feel like if Barbie was nominated, then Super Mario Brothers should have been nominated. And that's just me thinking like, oh, a video game movie and then a toy movie, which is very, very reductive and also removes like we didn't explore any grand themes in Super Mario Brothers except maybe family over everything. But in that case, when did Fast 10 was this year as well, right?
Fast 10 was this year. Fast X.
I would have yeah, Fast X.
That's the wrong X. That's the wrong X. Hold
on. That is the better family movie about family, I would say, than Super Mario Brothers. But now that's just a whole that's a can of worms I don't necessarily need us to open unless y'all want to.
I'm good.
We can save it for a
good.
different day.
Yeah,
We can save
we'll
it for a
save it,
different
yeah.
day.
Yeah.
I wanna convince Dylan to watch the Fast movies for family.
Don't have a problem watching them. I just don't want to like. We're an hour and 10 minutes into this podcast, and I don't want to now like do a Fast and Furious deep dive. I think that's like a fair. That's.
Nolan's a fan of the Fast movies.
I'm not. Look, if people like them, that's fine. I'm not. I'm not. I think I'm in a way of like. I can feel a way about those movies, and if people like them, fine. And if they make money, which helps the studio then fund other things, that's also fine. I just don't have to like them. I love Fast Five. Fast Five is unbelievable. Tokyo Drift
You should
also.
watch Fast X. You should watch Fast X, dude.
You should watch all of them, but keep
You
the ball rolling.
I want to watch like if I watch all of them, I want to watch all of them. Like I don't actually think I could in a day, literally time wise, but like I would want to like.
No, you can. As someone
You
who's
absolutely can.
watched all of them in one day, you can.
It's 10 movies, 2 hours. That's like
20 hours. That's
20
less than a
hours.
Yeah,
day. What are we
that's a
talking
day.
about?
That's a day.
What are
Dude.
we talking about?
Yeah.
Coward.
Did you, Jose? Did you pick for best song?
Yeah, Ken. Ken is best
Okay.
song.
Okay.
Tiebreaker.
What was I made for? Comfortably minus 700 at the favorite. I'm just kind of
Wow.
plus 400. Everything else is more than plus 2,000. So happy for
Whoa.
Billie Eilish, I guess, but I'm upset.
Check your tone.
Alrighty. Now we're left with the final two: Best Picture and Best Director.
Want to do director first?
We forgot to do film editing. I'm going to skip that because I hadn't seen a lot of the movies, and I think that's fair.
That is fair.
Best director.
Director, we have Anatomy of a Fall by Justine Triet, Killers of the Flower Moon by Martin Scorsese, Oppenheimer, Christopher Nolan, Poor Things by Yorgos Lanthimos, and then The Zone of Interest by Jonathan Glazer. I love Killers of the Flower Moon. I think it was an unbelievable movie. Scorsese has rarely ever gotten any respect at the Academy. So even though I think you could argue this is maybe his best movie, I think Poor Things is good. I think a lot of people are going to have problems with it. Maybe not necessarily on the Academy standpoint, but I do think that might drag it down. It has definitely gotten a ton of praise, but maybe that's more of like a general audience thing and not an Academy aspect. But if people have problems with that movie, I can understand it. Same thing with Zone of Interest is just a brutal bummer movie. So I think this is obviously going to be, Oppenheimer moment. I don't know if maybe it's Nolan's best movie, but I don't know if like it's kind of weird that this is going to be the movie that he wins with compared to some of his other movies. But I'm going to be happy for my guy.
What is better than Oppenheimer? Out of Nolan movies. My vote is for Nolan in Best Director too, by the way. As much as I would love something else to take it, it's just about the timing. If it would have come out earlier, even 2 years ago, I don't think it would. Well, I would have to see who it was up against, but I think it just
2
slid
years
right in the
ago
pocket.
was Coda.
2 years ago was Coda?
2 years ago.
Oh, last year.
Yeah.
Sorry, it would have come out 2 years ago to be in last year's Oscars.
Last year's Everything Everywhere All at Once, which I actually think would be super interesting. Like, because those are two very different movies. And like they're actually, and I think Oppenheimer just passed, and I don't know how true it was, but I saw that Oppenheimer just passed Everything Everywhere All at Once for most awards won, like throughout, award season. So it'd be super interesting if the two of those were to kind of come head to head.
Vaughn, who's your pick? And then I want to ask Dylan that question again.
Sorry, I wound up going back. It's Oppenheimer. I mean, here we are. Although I really enjoyed Poor Things. The more I sit with it, like once the credits started rolling, I was like, what happened? And then as the days go by and I talk more about it and I sit with it more, I really did enjoy it a lot. Yorgo Lanthimos is strange, um, very very strange, and like it's my flavor, so I'm into it. But yeah, I think it's gonna go to Oppenheimer.
Yeah, Poor Things is definitely a thing of when I walked out, it's this. I was like, is this like I didn't really know how I felt, but yeah, the longer it's at. Zone of Interest was the same way too. I was just like, I walked out of Zone of Interest and I was just like, why did I just even watch it? And then I kind of but now I'm like I'm really enjoying it. The betting odds, and then I'll answer your question. The betting odds for Christopher Nolan for Oppenheimer is at minus 10,000, so comfortably the favorite. Then it's Poor Things, Killers, Zone of Interest, and then Anatomy of Fall. Although Anatomy of Fall did win at the Globes, so there is maybe a chance that you know something could happen. I think it was the Globes. It won at one of the awards, kind of
Mhm.
surprisingly. But the Globes is also because it's
Yeah.
broken off and they do like multiple different movies can win. It's not always the most fair. In terms of what do I think is better? Um, although it is some people don't like it. Interstellar. I mean, I think Interstellar is absolutely unbelievable. And it's basically like a love story to 2001. And so I'm a huge fan of 2001. I mean, I think 2001 isn't it's one of my top 4 on Letterboxd. Like it is just a unbelievable movie. But that's the only thing.
Funny enough, I think I have Interstellar as one of my top 4 on Letterboxd.
And Interstellar doesn't have an awful sex scene, and Oppenheimer does have just a cringe sex scene. So that is the one thing that separates, I think, that movie from being perfect for me is the like now I've become death sex scene. That is one of the most ridiculous things I've seen in a movie.
Does it jump the shark?
I don't know if it jumps the
I
shark. It's
mean,
just like it's he does say that line, but he doesn't say that line in that moment. Maybe he did say that line in that moment. Maybe all of that is like in there. Um, but
no, because they say that in the when she's in the tub, right? Or he's in the tub, and then there's the sex scene.
What? No, the tub is after. She dies
tub's
in the
way
tub.
after. Yeah.
I've seen the film once. I apologize.
Now I'm upset. Yeah,
I
but
think Oppenheimer's is best though. I think that's
I
his best.
it's not crazy. I think it's interesting to think though of like Inception, Memento, like some of these other movies that I think a lot of people might hold those closer. Um, that's all.
So are we saying what is his best film, or what was the best directed film of his?
Ooh.
This is the best
Um.
directed film of his, which is fair.
I think
Yes. Yes.
I would put an argument out there for Inception.
Aren't you a big Dunkirk guy, Dylan?
Oh my gosh, yeah, I actually totally forgot about it. Dunkirk is unbelievable, and although the fact that I totally forgot about that, it's kind of damning. But that's more I'm going to say on me. That's going to be more on me than on Nolan. Yeah, it's not Nolan's fault that I forgot about that movie.
It was because it was so bad. He just forgot about it. It's cool. Move
And
on.
that's understandable.
Moving on.
Alrighty then.
Take us
Last
home,
one
Dylan.
is Best Picture. So the American Fiction, Anatomy of a Fall, Barbie, The Holdovers, Killers of the Flower Moon, Maestro, Oppenheimer, Past Lives, Poor Things, and The Zone of Interest. So talked about all of these movies at some point on this podcast. I it's Oppenheimer. It is the crowning achievement and will take home. I think it's going to win at least 5, if not 6 awards, maybe 7. I don't know if it's going to win absolutely everything, but I think it could be like a 7 or 8 win night. and very, very happy for Nolan to get his Oscar, and for his wife. His wife was the producer on this, so for both of them to get an Oscar.
Yeah, no notes. Oppenheimer by far. After watching everything, and then kind of organizing them on my tier list, it's just it runs away with it. I don't think, and again, I haven't seen these all yet. I don't think if I finish this list, anything will come close. As much as I hate to say it, but for my Ticket Boy, I'm gonna give it past. I'm gonna say Past Lives. I'm gonna say, you know what, Best Picture. I'm gonna scratch that off. Say favorite movie. I'm gonna say Past Lives.
Mm. It's interesting because I'm thinking about. I've always, watched a bunch of films, but I didn't get super involved in like award season and who's winning what until fairly recently. And I know last year, the first film I saw of the films that were nominated for Best Picture was Everything Everywhere All at Once. And I was like, I think that's the one. That's the one to beat. And then I wound up seeing everything and then saw Everywhere All at Once again. And I was like, okay, yeah, I was right. Uh, so far, the first film that I've seen, I'm still missing three, but the first film I saw of everything listed here was Oppenheimer. And yeah, is the one to beat. Shout out to American Fiction. I'll just say that.
No, we scratched out the category, Vaughn. It's your favorite movie. Well, what's your
Oh,
favorite movie out of this list?
out of this list,
Ooh, sorry,
American
buddy.
Fiction for sure, easily.
Vaughn wants to say Origin really bad, but it's not on this list.
No, so let me look this up.
Yeah, did they drop the ball and like not submit their Ticket Boy in time to pull up the list? Like, how does that work?
I don't know. Oh no. Theatrical release was this year.
It came out in 2024.
Yeah, there was. It says initial release September 6th, 2023. Theatrical release January 19th,
Oh,
2024, which
right. It
means it'll
needs to
be
come out in
in
theaters.
next year's, and that is the one to beat.
Well,
And fight me on it.
For this year,
there's
yeah.
we're seeing a
I
movie
mean,
on Sunday that is going to be
Madam
the
Web.
movie to beat.
I'm watching Madam Web
No,
on
sir.
Sunday.
So, other
For
than Madam
Best
Web,
Picture,
it is Dune Part 2.
the correct answer is Origin, and we'll get to this in 365 days, but that is a hill I'd be willing to die on.
I don't know, Vaughn. Dune 1 was amazing. I just saw it yesterday. I rewatched it yesterday, and if people are saying Dune 2 is the
Much
best movie
better.
ever, the best movie
And
ever,
there
it's
are so many films, as I said earlier, there are so many films that will not win Best Picture that are still great films. Dune 2 is going to be one of those films.
didn't Dune 1 not win Best Picture? Yeah,
It
you
did
raised a
not
good
win.
point.
It did not win Best Picture.
You raised a good point.
And the
Love a
crazy thing was,
precedent.
it didn't win Best Picture, and Denis was not even nominated for Best Director, despite the fact that it won for like all of the it won for Best Cinematography and like Best Editing and like all of those things, and he adapted the like unadaptable book and made it into a masterpiece. Didn't even get a Best Director nom.
But did it win Best Adapted Screenplay?
I do believe it. I do believe it won Best Adapted Screenplay.
Then his work was applauded. And that
So if
what? I don't
Oppenheimer
know why
doesn't
I'm
win
being
Best
nasty.
Picture,
I apologize.
Well, I can't be
But
nasty towards Origin, so I can't I can't. I just have to
good
stand here
luck.
in silence.
And that's the problem, Dylan. We need you. We need your voice. Speak up. Sorry. What are we talking about? Best Picture, Oppenheimer. Sure, let's go for it. Oh, but favorite film, American Fiction. Although I only saw, I only saw all of these the one time. I kind of want to go back and rewatch Barbie.
I feel like it might hinder. It might knock it down your list because I've seen Barbie like 3 times,
Mm.
in completely separate environments, states of consciousness. It's been up and down the list a couple times. It's not. It's not good. It's not great.
Hmm.
If I had to,
What do you mean it's
say
not good? It's
what's
not great. You mean like it's like in between good and great,
yeah,
or
yeah,
it's
because if
okay,
Oppenheimer's
okay.
all the way up here, there's a solid chunk before the next movie shows up, and then the rest of them are kind of close. Um,
Thank you for that clarification, Dylan, because I was nervous. I was like,
yeah,
So it's like I'm gonna push back. Like I'm gonna.
what? Hey, real quick, before you keep going,
I know
what?
art's subjective, but let me explain to you why your opinion is wrong.
yeah, it's not the best, but it's not the worst on the list. It's a solid movie.
All right.
That's the
And
What are the Vegas odds? All the
oh
boys
yeah,
did all the boys make it on
what are
time?
the boys saying?
Oppenheimer minus 1200. Next is gonna be Holdovers at plus 1200, and then Poor Things. Everything else kind of takes a drop off after that. I wouldn't be look. Holdover is about a 17-year-old with a lost parent. That is right up my alley. I would not be in another world, would not be unhappy if that were to win. But no.
But Oppenheimer's about a white man, so you know
Maestro's
here
about
we
a white
are.
man. Maestro is about a white Jewish man.
Holdovers is also about a white man.
But is
Mm.
he Jewish?
Zone of Interest is also about a white man. Oppenheimer is about a Jewish man.
Oh, that's true. Oppenheimer is. Oh, you got me there.
Yeah.
Barbie's a white woman.
Now we're
And
just
also
saying
has
things.
a male son of a female mom and a male nephew of a female niece. But that's it. That's the nominees. I think it's going to be. I think Oppenheimer's going to absolutely clean up. I don't think it's going to win absolutely everything, but I think it's going to be a. I'm going to be happy for Nolan. We'll have a reaction pod.
Are we gonna have a? Should we have a live streaming reaction? Live reaction? Are
That'd be
y'all? Do you
tricky
have
to
plans?
do.
I'll probably have plans. To be honest, like I don't know. I don't know if I want to do a 4-hour pod, 4-hour reaction, type of thing.
Yeah, that feels like
Fair.
a lot. And I'll definitely have plans, so that's that. Um
um,
yeah, this should be good. This yeah, I guess was a sample of what you can look forward to, or a sample of the takes you can look forward to. Structure's gonna be different. Um so unless y'all had other thoughts, we'll leave it there. Although actually, yeah, follow us on the socials. What is our social again?
I'm gonna drop all of our
our
socials in
socials.
the in like the podcast notes. So,
Sweet.
like, subscribe, all that fun stuff. Most importantly, remember use code Madam Web at DraftKings for some free bets.
$50 off your
Yeah.
first
Your first bet.
bet. We're gonna get the we're gonna get the sponsorship too. I feel it.
We
It's
should.
gonna happen.
We should. We'll send a ticket boy
um,
to DraftKings HQ.
sir, hot off the press from the cinema club, the after school one. I don't know what this voice is. Ignore me. Thanks, y'all. We'll see y'all later. Bye.
Bye. Class dismissed.